Fine, Doctor. Fine, Doctor.
Frager.
You found Let's Talk with Dr. Stan Frager, your life coach. Dr. Stan Frager is standing by to give you insight on issues that matter most to you. Call now, 571-2428. That's 571-2428 on 970 WGTK.
Oh, yeah, and just to make it sweet, when you call in for our first caller tonight, we have 2 complimentary tickets to the Abbey Road concert for both days, and it'll give you free admission, as well as free admission to the Galt House, where a lot of the performers are all staying, and in case of inclement weather, I think they even have in the Archibald Cochran room up there, they're going to have some concerts going on there. So we'll just give that to the first caller as a way of saying thank you for calling in. 571-2428, 571-2428. We do ask that you come by the station to pick them up, but we're conveniently located right off Hurstbourne and on the east side of Louisville. And I'm sure Michael will explain that all to you, but we'd love to see you. 571-2428, teenage violence. And with us tonight, courtesy of the Kentucky Psychological Association, Ms. Jennifer Richardson, who's a licensed psychological associate. And also with us is Dr. Eli Karam, and Professor Karam is with our esteemed University of Louisville Kent School of Social Work. He's also happens to be, I think you're the president-elect for the Kentucky Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. Good organization it be. So we're well represented by our professional associations tonight. Ms. Richardson, what about the difference between the difference in violence between adult relationships, what we see in violence, versus teenage violence?
Well, I want to touch on something that Dr. Karam said before the break, which kind of is a good segue into this. He was talking about the importance of kind of talking with your teens and that the teens sometimes don't take it seriously. Actually, I think it might have been you, Dr. Stan, saying that teens won't take seriously what their parents say. And kind of the flip happens with teen dating violence, in that a lot of adults don't take teen relationships seriously. It's puppy love, it's silliness, and so a lot of times they'll miss some of what's going on. So it's really important for parents and adults to be in tune to the seriousness, especially, as adolescents grow into teenagers and, 15, 16, 17, relationships can get pretty serious. And so I think that's one of the key things that differentiates teen dating violence and adult dating violence or domestic violence is, one seems to be taken more seriously than the other.
Yep, sure.
Yeah. Another distinction, I think, would be kind of a difference between what we call intimate terrorism and situational violence. Intimate terrorism being this is the batterer, the person that uses control and tactics to dominate, and we think of this more in kind of the domestic violence work, versus situational violence, where these are two young people. They've never been in this intense relationship before. Alcohol could be involved. They don't have communication skills.
Well, in fact, very often alcohol, drugs are involved.
Yes.
Often with teenagers, another distinction. So this situational violence we're finding a lot in our healthy relationship grants at University of Louisville. Dr. Becky Yentl runs that. They are driven by the situational violence, teenagers getting swept away in the moment, not knowing how to communicate, often escalated by drugs and alcohol.
Yep. And so, of course, in adult violence, we see alcohol, drugs sometimes playing a role as well, of course. But I think, talk a little bit about, Ms. Richardson, the role of Facebook and some of these social kinds of things that are available now, LinkedIn, I guess, and some of the other things.
Yeah, technology in general, be it the internet, texting, cell phones in and of themselves, have just played a huge role in dating violence. And again, as I said earlier, we see a lot of emotional abuse in teen dating violence, and the technology has just really taken that to another level. With regard to kind of the social networking sites that you were talking about, MySpace and Twitter and Facebook, you can get a lot of just blackmail. Again, the theme of control, kind of constant communication, knowing, a partner might be texting. I had a client who literally said that she got over 100 texts one time from her boyfriend, and she didn't think that there was anything wrong with that because he was just wanting to know where she was and what she was doing. And
every second. Yeah.
They are constantly communicating. They're constantly linked in. So that constant communication can it can really be a problem because it is a form of control. The same thing with posting things on Facebook. Rumors can spread, and that is a difference too between teen and adult violence. I think I mentioned earlier, humiliation and that kind of thing can be a different beast when you're a teenager, because nothing is worse than having a rumor spread about you when you're in high school. And it
can spread unbelievably
like
fast.
wildfire.
I mean, within a matter of minutes.
Yes.
Or hours overnight.
Exactly.
You can totally wreck a young lady's or a fella's perception. Although it's interesting, if a guy has lots of women and affairs, he thinks he's a stud, but a woman, she's a slut.
Sure.
The girl is really bad. And of course, it's an equal playing field.
Right. And that double standard has been around for so long. And that, that's another thing when we talk about educating and kind of prevention for adolescents with the parents stepping in and doing some preventative measures before they get to a relationship, really teaching, gender roles and what that means to have equality in a relationship. Because a lot of young men believe, just as you were saying, that it is, it makes them more manly if they've got 7 girlfriends and their girlfriends have nude pictures, and if they're disrespecting their partner, then that means something different.
I'm also going to say something about the gender roles. There are a lot of young men, teenage boys, that believe this ultra masculinity and this physical aggressiveness is associated with being a man, and that should be manifested not only in all of their social relationships, but in their dating relationships too. So they come in, again, without an accurate blueprint of what a healthy relationship is.
Certainly. And on the flip side, you've got young women who believe that themselves, that makes their boyfriend more manly, or that they see their control as, a show of affection or showing how much that they care about them by sending them 100 texts a day. So they're, again, just really educating and setting up teenagers for what's appropriate.
And a lot of what you said is that a lot of violence is about control.
Yeah.
Just like the texting is about control, the violence is about control. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, certainly. MTV is doing a big campaign right now called A Thin Line. You can check it out at athinline.org, and it's all about media and technology and its role in teen violence.
Some of the music videos I see seem to be pretty violent, especially of males to females.
Very violent and very sexually explicit. And that's certainly, media is huge with teenagers, especially music.
Right. And again, our lines are open. What do you think about this? And in fact, we got about 2 minutes here before the break. How extensive is the problem in Kentucky, Indiana? Now, Dr. Karam talked a little bit about it. I think you said 1/3 of all
1/3 would, when asked,
young ladies.
And we always know that more people probably, when given a chance to identify themselves, probably hold back. So there's probably more than that. So this idea of teenage dating violence, it's not isolated, as we said. It spans the spectrum, and it affects the lives of possibly your next door neighbor and maybe your children too, if you haven't asked.
There's a national campaign called Break the Cycle, and they do a state law report every year. And the 2010 report has I checked out Kentucky and Indiana. Kentucky actually scored an F on their report card. And what they look at is minors' rights with regard to protective orders. And in Kentucky, minors cannot obtain protective orders against those in a dating relationship.
I did not know that.
They cannot. Now, Indiana, who received a B score, minors can get a protective order against someone that they're in a dating relationship with, but a parent or legal guardian has to take that order out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come back to that
Okay,
in just
sure.
a minute. I am kind of appalled by that. Did not even realize that, having done my probation work out in California as a probation officer. That's pathetic. 571-2428. 571-2428. What do you think? Dr. Stan Frager with Ms. Richardson, Dr. Karam. We're here for you at WGTK.